Welcome to the penultimate KitPlus TV magazine show for season 1. Don't worry, we've got lots planned going forwards, and of course lots coming up in another packed show today.
If you've ever been fed up with running heavy cable, then you'll appreciate what our first workflow guest today is discussing. We have Stephen from Quasar Science, and he's talking about their range of LED lighting solutions spanning Hollywood productions to home broadcasting.
Then we have Phillip from Disguise talking about their very cool virtual production technology, and Sam from Axel AI is here discussing AI with the option for searching your content and their new interfaces for Media Composer.
And our final workflow guest today will be Dan from Shoutout, where we'll look at crowdsourcing video content and automating your video production.
As we mentioned last week, getting students right now is like pulling teeth. So we thought it would be a timely opportunity to catch up with Paul from Media Lease. We have, of course, spoken to Paul on previous shows, but he has some updates and advice worth hearing, including the latest funding insights on CBILs.
And KitPlus show regular Alistair Chapman is building quite a catalogue of tech insights so far, covering RAW, explaining all we need to know about gamma curves, showing us how to select a tripod, weighed up ISO versus gain control, his lockdown streaming experience, and last week looking at the thing we call the full frame look. Did you watch it? Is it a myth? Let's find out what he's got for us this week.
And I'm going to be looking at ACES and colour managed workflows. What the hell are they?
And don't forget, you can catch up on previous insights from Alistair. Just go to our weekly show playlist on YouTube. And together with many others, Alistair has also given seminars at various KitPlus show events. And you can see these and other recorded sessions on the link below. Let's go over to Dick now and see who's with him today.
Thanks, Simon. Yes, today I'm talking to Carrie Wootten, the Managing Director of RISE, the advocacy group for women in broadcasting and media. We're going to be talking about mentoring and developing new talent from as young an age as 10 or 11. It's really interesting.
So before we chat to Paul from Media Lease, we'd like to quickly remind you of our friends at Mediaproxy. With over 20 years in the industry and over 15,000 channels deployed in over 60 countries, Mediaproxy is the global leader for all things compliance and are the trusted partner in the industry for logging, monitoring and analysis of linear, broadcast and OTT.
You may not know, though, that their leading-edge product log server is the only solution to fully support SMPTE 2022-6 and SMPTE 2110 sources. You can record and monitor uncompressed IP sources, including multiple audio tracks, SCSI messages and subtitles at a high scale on commodity hardware and even across virtual environments.
And if you're looking to replace your Volocon system, team up with the global leader in compliance. For more information, please check out their website. And as we mentioned earlier, we've swapped TV futures this week with some solid finance advice. So we'd like to welcome Paul Robson from Medialease back into the studio. Hey Paul, welcome to the show. Last time you were here, you told us about CBILs. Now, we're hoping you've got some updates on what's been going on, and maybe you can tell us about your experiences with the scheme so far.
It's been relatively busy, not as rammed as we thought. We thought everybody would be piling in early and looking for bounce back loans and CBILs loans, but Mr. Christopher Bills has been gradually getting busier as the last 2 months have gone on, and what's amazed me is different funders are dealing with it in different ways, and I've only recently found out why they're not all dealing with the same way, and it seems that it depends how you go about your application to the British Business Bank to get approved for CBILs. So for example, some of the banks are eligible to give you capital holiday as well as interest holiday for the first 12 months, which is fantastic, really great product. Other ones said we didn't apply for that. Other ones said we can only give you 30 days from when we approve your loan or your asset finance deal under CBILs. Others have said we'll give you 90 days or even nearly 6 months, 5 months in one case. So each funder's got different objectives out of the scheme. Each funder has applied for different things, and we basically developed a mechanism to say you're going down that route, you're going down that route, and this is the sweet spot that we've kind of picked on for a lot of the customers that we're seeing who want help.
So there are different ways the lenders will determine how you're eligible, and they in turn have different products. Have you got any particular schemes that you like and are concentrating on, and what makes them different?
We've got, in principle, if we keep it short, we've got three. The first one's fantastic if you are borrowing less than £30,000, expat, of course. If you're borrowing less than £30,000 for assets that you want to buy, or software, or mezzanine flooring, anything, then the CBILs under 30 grand with one particular funder we use is fantastic because it's super quick. We don't need your inside leg measurement. We don't need accounts. We just need you to fill in a very simple 5-point questionnaire, which basically says, hello, my name's Paul Robson, and my business has been affected by COVID-19. And the response is pretty quick, and it's up to 6 years funding term, first year interest-free, interest paid by the British Business Bank, by the government, and it's a really quick, simple, and first year free. So if you're doing 12-month financing on a small asset, say an £8,000 asset, and you say, I'll just do it over 12 months, it's interest free. What's not to like about that? The other two schemes are obviously for over 30 grand, and we need a lot more information. We do need your inside leg measurement and bank statements, but in principle they go up to 5 million, I think, but certainly large enough. And what they're about, Matt, is they're about looking at how the business was before COVID struck and seeing how the business has been affected by COVID, and provided your business was solid before you went into this crisis, there's a fairly good chance you'll get interest-free financing for the first 12 months, again, up to 6 years in total, mainly 5 years. And another scheme is very, very similar, but that funder is saying not only will give you the first 12 months interest-free, but we won't take any capital repayments in the first 12 months, and you won't get penalised for it. So you're not getting struck with the fact that you didn't make any capital repayments for the first 12 months, but we're going to penalise you later. That doesn't happen. So it's both are pretty good schemes if you're spending over 30,000, but I do need a lot more information from you.
So, Paul, you mentioned that if the business was solid, and most, if not all of these options are only really available to businesses that were not in difficulty, which is the official terminology I think is used, at the end of 2019. Can we chat over what the term not in difficulty really means?
Then looking at your audited position and your bank statements at, say, March, and saying, was this customer already struggling? Was he maxing his overdraft? Was he in financial difficulty before this disaster struck us? In which case, would I have lent you this £100,000 to buy this camera package in February, March 19? No, I don't think I would. Well, you can't lend it to us now. You can't lend it to the customer now just because the government are supporting the scheme. So it's about doing what you would, looking at it the same way as you would had you looked at it pre-COVID. You can't say, well, I don't care, I'll write the deal because government is supporting it for 80% of the value of the loan. You've got to stick to your principles of your business, which is, I'd have written that deal in March 2020, so I'll do it now.
And have you identified a trend in the type of assets you've been funding for the people in the industry over the last 4 months?
No, not really. It's mainly been people approaching Medialease in their normal manner and saying, look, I'm going to need to do this. And us saying to them, well, look, if you did it this way, you're going to have your interest paid for 12 months, but we do need to crack on with it. There is a deadline to it. So we're kind of not, there's no forcing at all, but we're trying to suggest to people, look, you can have a traditional lease. These are the terms of a traditional lease, we're all familiar with that. Or you can have a CBILs lease, because I think you'll qualify, but you need to give me a lot more information, and you need to fill in this questionnaire, and I need a bank statement. I need a lot more information, but I think, it's beneficial to you because the first 12 months are interest paid.
So, Paul, you mentioned a deadline there. So when is this deadline?
We have got to, yes, it's coming up. We have got to have your line in place, your asset finance or your loan or your asset refinance, which is something we're now offering, which we weren't 2 months ago. We've got to have whatever it is we're asking the British Business Bank to support through the fund that we've chosen has to be agreed by the 30th of September by the British Business Bank.
Does that deadline apply to bounce back loans as well as CBILs?
I don't know, Matt, but I believe it will do because it's all operated by the same institution, the British Business Bank. Doesn't mean to say you've got to draw it down by the 30th of September. You've just got to have the deal agreed through Medialease by the 30th of September, and then you've got, with some funders it's 30 days, with the loans it's definitely 30 days, so you've got to draw the loan money down by the end of October. If it's asset finance, most cases, I'm going to be generalistic here, most cases you've got 90 days from whenever it was agreed. So there is a bit of time there.
And just before we let you go, Paul, can you offer any of your predictions as to where the industry will be in August 2021?
You're asking me to look there. We have two. In short, we have two principal sides to our business: the outside broadcast studios business that you and I are familiar with, and then we have the live events, rock and roll touring, theatre. Well, that's close, as we know, till next year now. And I don't think anybody will be buying. Maybe 5% of the kit they were buying before might happen in 2021. It's going to be very, very tough in that area. But turning to the broadcast sector and the post sector in particular, I think we're just all waiting to see when the filming's going to start, and hopefully no second wave, and hopefully filming of dramas can get cracking now. And that's what we need. We need the stimulus of the shooting market to get out there to produce whatever it's going to produce, and then I think it'll slowly begin to pick up. And I reckon, I'm guessing, but I reckon by the end of summer next year we should be back to a level that we're all happy with. Not saying it's going to be fantastic, not going to say it's going to be better than it was 6 months ago or last summer, but it'll be 2018, 2019 levels, which is all we can hope for at this stage.
That's great. Thank you once again for coming in, Paul. You're always welcome on KitPlus TV. I'm sure we'll catch up in the not too distant future, but until then, take care.
We will, Simon. Thank you for the three of you for the invitation today, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.
And now let's go back over to Dick with his guest today.
Today I'm talking to Carrie Wootten, who is the Managing Director of RISE, the advocacy group for women in the broadcast and media industry. Thanks for talking to me, Carrie.
Oh, pleasure.
Tell me a little bit about your background. Where have you come from and what do you do?
So I'm the Managing Director of RISE. We've been up and running for 3 years now. My background is quite varied, actually, from studying drama and theatre studies at university right through to being the head of commercial development at Ravensbourne University, which I'm sure, as you know, has produced lots of broadcast engineering and technical talent into the sector. So really varied career across the media and broadcast sector.
That's great, and yeah, Ravensbourne definitely one of the bright spots in our industry.
Yeah.
Okay, so RISE. Tell us about RISE. Tell us how it started first.
Oh yeah, so it started really as a passion project about 3 years ago now by Sadie Groom, who wanted to try and change the gender diversity within the sector. And I joined shortly afterwards. And one of the first things that we wanted to do to really try and have an impact actually was to deliver a mentoring program. So we started that in 2018. We were really fortunate to get a few companies to sponsor that program. And I think it's fair to say that first year's mentoring program delivered more than we could have possibly hoped for. And I think what was really interesting about that first year was, as we put a spotlight on those women, doors started to open for them. It was incredible. They were invited to events that they wouldn't have been invited to before. They were asked to speak on panels, be guest speakers. So it was really a fascinating process. And we were really fortunate that we had great partners on board across the industry who could help promote the program and also promote the women on it. So off the back of that, in 2019, I'm trying to remember my years now, 2019, we managed to get some more sponsorship on board, and our real aim for last calendar year was to deliver the mentoring program again, but to also deliver a whole series of events so we could support more women across the sector. And I'm really pleased to say that we did that. And we also launched our RISE Awards, which I'll talk a bit more in a minute maybe. But what was really fascinating last year was the launch of our Rise Up programme, which kind of took us by surprise, actually. If you'd asked us at the start of 2018, what would our aims have been? That probably wouldn't have been on the list. But because of my background in broadcast engineering education, I was very aware of the developing situation of those courses across the UK struggling to recruit talent, not just female talent, but male talent as well. And that initiative has developed through conversations with both academic institutions and also the industry struggling to recruit broadcast engineering and technical talent specifically. So yeah, we've had an amazing journey over the last 3 years with kind of 4 completely different strands of work now, which I'm delighted to say continuing this year.
That's great. Let's just unpick a few of those things as we go. As you say, it was started by Sadie Groom. I doubt there's anybody in the industry who doesn't know who Sadie is, but she's one of the most vivacious of the leading lights in publicity and marketing communications, and has been around the industry for obviously not very long, because she's still only 23.
Of course she is. Of course she is.
But yeah, what was there a specific instance or a specific sensation that drove you and Sadie to start this idea? What kicked it off?
Well, I think if you go to any of the kind of big events, whether that's IBC, NAB, Broadcast Asia, it is heavily dominated by men. It just is, and in all roles or all levels of seniority. And I think that's what really drove us to try and change that picture and try and change the landscape. And actually, particularly over the last few months specifically, but over the last few years, there's been a real driver from companies to try and change things. And actually, we were then in a position to help facilitate the change that they were looking to undertake. And I think the individual women who we support through the program really need the support. And I think sometimes people think it can be a bit of a cliche that actually, we're just going to have another diversity initiative. But we know from the women that we support that support is integral to their progression, their self-confidence, their ambitions. And we see that through the mentoring program specifically, with all of the women kind of either, progressing into different jobs, getting promotions, or feeling much more secure and happy within their positions. And the gender pay gaps come up quite a lot as well over the last few years. Again, I think it's one of those things that we think doesn't exist, but I've seen it a few times with the women on our programs. I'll give you an example of that. Actually, one lady, she got promotion in her job, which was amazing, got the job title to go with it, but she didn't get the salary to go with it. And so with the support of her mentor, she went back and did a big presentation on why she should get the salary increase to go with it, what the standard was across the sector. And the company said, no, actually, we're not going to give you that increase. She went back 3 times to try and get that salary increase with the support of her mentor. And eventually they said yes. But actually that shouldn't have happened. She shouldn't have had to go back 3 times. That salary increase should have just been part of that promotion that she received. And I've seen that time and time again. So actually, but had she not had that mentor, she will admit this herself, she wouldn't have gone back and done that presentation, and she would have just accepted that the salary hadn't been increased.
It is slightly staggering to me that we're still having this conversation that you could have 2 different pay scales, depending on what you've got inside your trousers. I think that's just shocking and remains shocking. You talked about IBC and the like. I mean, it's worth pointing out that IBC is trying to solve this. Absolutely. And the intention was, before IBC stopped being a physical event this year, the intention was to have 50% women representation on every conference session panel. Last year, there was a woman on at least a woman on every panel. The message is getting through in some places at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. And also we see that from the industry sponsorship that we get. I mean, companies want to see this change happen. There's a real desire and passion to try and make that change happen. And absolutely, we've been in conversations with IBC about this too. So yes, there is definitely the drivers and the passion, but I think also what's integral to this is actually that we're recruiting female talent as well. It's about promoting and supporting the women currently in the industry, but also ensuring that we've got that pipeline of talent coming through. And actually, we know that we've got an aging workforce. We know that it's white male dominated. And actually, that's why Rise Up happened as well, is because we want to ensure that we've got diverse talent, whether that's gender diversity, ethnicity diversity, disability, diversity coming through. Like we desperately need that talent. So,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. Getting new talent in at the bottom of the industry is absolutely vital, and any initiative that drives that is good news. You've talked a lot about mentoring. Is that your key activity? Is that how you see you can have the biggest impact?
Well, it definitely has a big impact on the women that we support, but unfortunately we can only support, well, this year it's 30 actually. We've got 3 women in Singapore that we're supporting as well. So it's 27 in the UK. Oh, actually 1 in Spain. So 26 in the UK, 1 in Spain and 3 in Singapore. But the Rise Up programme, I think, has a huge benefit. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we've had to put things on hold a little bit this year, but we're looking to deliver some of that virtually kind of going forwards while things return to normal. But our awards as well, like a great celebration of women across the sector, is a great opportunity to celebrate women in the industry and to ensure that they get some recognition and support too. So
sure.
Sure.
Carrie and I talked for quite a while. You can see the whole interview by following the link on screen. But for now, back to the studio.
Brightline have announced it has upgraded its L1.2 and L1.4 LED Series 1 studio light fixtures with variable colour temperature and improved colour rendering. Plus, the fixtures are now available with optional DMX and RDM, that's remote device management, control without any cables.
And the new 4097 Core Micro Shotgun microphone from DPA is being widely adapted into the TV and film production world as a plant mic solution. It offers the same sonic qualities as their supercardioid 4097 Core choir microphone in a mini package and has been optimized to pick up speech from a distance. Cool.
And Shure's Axient digital wireless system have introduced the digital AD3 plug-on transmitter. Audio professionals can now transform any XLR microphone into an Axient digital wireless microphone, delivering impeccable audio quality and RF performance, wide tuning and encryption features.
And now it's time for our first workflow guest this week. We'd like to welcome into the studio Stephen Strong from Quasar Science. Thank you for coming in and seeing us.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me.
The company is relatively new to me, really. I reckon I heard about you first about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So how about giving us a bit of background as to where Quasar Science came from?
Sure. Well, we started here in Hollywood, California. All of the founders of the company are gaffers, cinematographers, lighting console programmers. We had a lot of experience on set, and we were basically sick of running heavy cable for our lives. And some friends of ours had started some LED lighting companies, and it was kind of inspiring to us. So the problem we kept running into is finding incandescent light bulbs in mass, because right around 2012 they were phasing out everything, and you couldn't really find anything in the hundreds, which is what we need for movie production. So that was like the inception of the idea, was to say, like, well, somebody needs to make good color LED light bulbs that are flicker free, all the things that we expect in the film industry. And that was kind of the light bulb going off, no pun intended, for how we got started.
So obviously things have changed quite a lot in the last sort of 3-4 months. Have you seen any sort of products recently taking off?
Yeah, actually, because of all the home broadcast stuff going on, we have a small battery-powered lamp we call the Q Lion, and that thing is really simple. It's just got a single switch operation. It's a bicolor light, but it's battery-powered, and it's got really nice soft light and high output. That thing has really taken off lately. We always joke, how many more of these tubes can people buy? But they keep going. So those things have been a lot of help to a lot of people here in the home broadcast kind of era.
And I think we saw recently you were doing some online sessions. How did you find they were received, and are they still available for people to watch?
Yeah, we have been doing a little project we call Quasar Alchemy, which is just kind of trying to educate people about the industry and about the technology. And it's been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of different people interviewed on there. You can see it on our YouTube channel, which has got a lot of fun content. We've also got a little bit of a fun series that we did called Hurricane at Midnight with some puppets that I think people would enjoy if they get on there and watch it. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. And
Cool.
just before you leave us, Stephen, what there's lots of LED solutions out there now. What sets Quasar Science LED lighting apart from competitors?
We try to focus on workflow solutions. We fancy ourselves not even really an LED lighting company as much as a workflow solutions company. So we're always trying to come up with different products that can just help on-set workflow. I think that the connectivity of our lights is a big thing we're proud of. All the new lights will have Ethernet nodes and network switches inside, so the connectivity for running video through them and all the modern stuff that people are doing on set nowadays, so they'll be ideal for process car work or special effects work, stuff like that. We have some low-end dimming kind of electronics that we've solved, because obviously in the industry it's a big problem for LEDs to dim down really low. And we've got a new electronic build in our new products that really our 1% is imperceptible to the eye, so you'll be able to actually finally do those ramp up fades and stuff that LEDs haven't been really useful for in the past. So that'll be great for all the color mixing technology that we have going on as well. You'll be able to mix those colors down to a super low level, and that's something I think we're really proud of.
Have you got any plans to introduce wireless maybe at any time in the future? Is that?
Yeah, all the new products will also have the Lumen radio, CRMX protocol. They will have WDMX, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi. So in addition to the features I mentioned, they'll have streaming ACN and ArtNet. So I think they'll be really useful to people, especially nowadays. You know, there's network switches all over lighting sets now, where it's just gotten so advanced so fast with the kind of network. All these lights need multiple universes now to run. So I think that we're going to have some good technology to help minimize the programming side of it.
Cool. Stephen, that's really fascinating. Thank you very much for coming on KitPlus TV.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
And in Manipulate and Edit news, an interesting story from Tokyo. NTV Technical Resources Inc., Nitro, is a major technical provider to the Japanese broadcasting industry. Following the launch of 8K broadcast channels in Japan back in December 2018, Nitro built a facility for 8K post-production. They needed robust and flexible solutions that could manage both 8K and 4K post-production without requiring separate tools for each workflow, and therefore chose the AJA Kumo 3232 12G, which will route 8K or 4K SDI signals with the added benefit of 12 gig SDI.
And Chiron Hego have introduced Prime Graphics 3.6, the newest version of the company's acclaimed platform for real-time graphics authoring and playout. With this release, Chiron Hego keeps its promise of one platform, multi-use cases, extending Prime Graphics to support augmented reality graphics in live studio environments and adding new productivity tools that simplify and accelerate design workflows.
And Crystal Vision have released what it's claimed to be the industry's first dedicated picture-in-picture device, designed for IP or SDI playout applications that need one or two picture-in-picture boxes to be inset on the main program. The m-pip allows two input flows to be sized and positioned in advance and then layered over either the third input flow or an internal matte generator.
And now it's time for our next guest. We welcome into the studio Phillip Cooksey from Disguise. Welcome, Phillip.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi, very good here. So give us a clue, what's new at Disguise at the moment?
Well, not so much new, but certainly due to everything that's gone on this year, we aggressively pivoted our business and accelerated the R&D to deliver Disguise XR as a solution.
Okay.
So give us a little bit more of how this XR tech is being used.
Okay, so, we've probably all heard virtual production, XR, augmented reality, mixed reality. This isn't glorified Zoom calls or streaming presentation. We'd like to think this is virtual production in its most diverse form. So our software and the hardware that it sits on, that we also manufacture, allows for an artist or an actor or a presenter to be embedded into a virtual environment or a studio or a set. So you could refer to this as green screen replacement or with LED or digital set extension and creation digitally. So everything from music artists performing a video to a movie scene being made through to a TV studio or a TV environment. Actually, much broader than that, but for the context of this call, those sorts of things.
And have you noticed during the recent lockdown and what everyone's gone through the last 3 or 4 months that people have been calling on Disguise more?
Yeah, well, you may or may not know, we were around in the live events industry for a very long time before coming into broadcast and film and TV. And so our live events community clearly have been through a very difficult time. And that part of our business obviously went very quiet. So as I mentioned earlier, we pivoted very quickly to something we've been working on for a long time anyway. And I'd like to think we brought our community and our partners with us on that journey. So we gave away all of our software for the last 6 months. We ran an entire program of webinars. We've had I think it's over 20,000 people now come through our webinar program. And we enabled people to spend the time learning this new workflow from Disguise. So it was a perfect opportunity, if you like. And of course, we had a team of developers who, had started something and got a very long way along. And now was the time to really accelerate the capability of the product. So it certainly has involved our entire partner base, our community, in order to get to where we've got to, and kept everyone motivated and inspired. And
absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, this is fascinating technology. One of the things I've got to ask is it available in places to rent, or is it an investment opportunity? Physically, it's quite a big, thing to get involved with, as well as, skills and things. Where can people go to use it?
Yeah, good question. Everywhere and anywhere, really. We have around 50 XR studios already up and running through our partners and customers alike. And there is at least another 50 that are in the planning being built as we speak. Of course, the live event industry has repurposed all of their LED for this very exercise, and likewise cameras, jibs, tripods, and all the other kit needed in order to make this work is available right now. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. And so, obviously I imagine the future is pretty bright for you guys then, but I mean, is this technology can you pinpoint anything particular that it's going to mean for the future of the industry?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the market or the application for this, because we really have seen such a broad spectrum, everything from universities creating
education. I was going to say that, yeah,
to deliver lectures, and of course, the capability there is very broad. The film industry, we're seeing some fantastic application where green screen's fantastic, but you have to key out all of the green on reflective surfaces. You have to make sure eye lines of actors are correct. And of course, the lighting on skin tones and everything else. So LED, because of the merging of all of these technologies right now, the quality of LED, the capability of rendering components, GPUs, etc., and also the render engines themselves like Unity and Unreal have meant that now's the time for this sort of thing. So the film industry is picking it up very quickly. There's already LED in TV studios everywhere. This is just about repurposing them to the next level of creative control and creative power, and offering a bit more for the viewer at home.
Absolutely. It seems like there's, really is something for everyone to have a look at.
Yeah.
Education right through broadcast, right through to the, high level experience stuff. So yeah, no, brilliant. Well, hopefully you'll have an opportunity to demonstrate this at a trade show soon, one day in the near future. And we look forward to seeing you, and hopefully we'll have an interview there.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks, James.
Next up, it's Manage and Monitor. And Synergy has released the latest version of Synergy Multiviewer. That's 15.2. Streams from satellites, camera feeds, playout devices and other local or remote sources all need to be monitored, and the Synergy Multiviewer displays and analyses these signals, raising alerts for any detected signal problems. Running as a service operating on commodity IT equipment, video streams can be received over IP via Ethernet or using standard SDI cards.
And Sony Electronics' cloud-native professional media management and collaboration platform CI is expanding its feature set to include enterprise asset management. The debut of CI Catalog enables the ability to build and securely manage centralized libraries of rich media and make them easily accessible. CI now provides secure content management from production through monetization, all in a single platform.
And last but not least, Densitron has announced the immediate availability of its acclaimed IDS platform as a fully managed service, intended to make the system more cost efficient during a period when there is increased pressure on budgets. SaaS, IDS as a service, is based around the same solution and services, but at a fixed monthly cost. We spoke to Ruben from Densitron recently, and you can watch that interview on kitplus.com/week 9.
And it definitely wasn't last, and it definitely wasn't least, and neither was this one. Mediaproxy is working with Crown Media Families Networks to provide compliance monitoring for its main television services: Hallmark Channel, Hallmark Mysteries and Movies, and Hallmark Drama. Known for their family-orientated programming, the channels are using the log server logging and monitoring system to conform to standards for both program content and broadcast quality.
And now it's time to welcome our next guest in the studio. We have Sam Bogoch from ACES AI. Welcome to KitPlus TV, Sam.
Great to be here.
It's good to see you. Now, just before we get into the chat, Sam, we're going to play a short promo video that you put together.
Cut. You finish your video shoot, everybody thinks you're done. Wrong mundo. You've just started jumping through hoops. Good luck finding that great reaction shot. Take 57, or was it 63? Hey, you'll figure it out. ACES AI helps your whole video team work smoothly from anywhere. It makes proxies, transcribes with AI, even does tagging. Find your best stuff from the comfort of your browser. Kinda like your own personal media cloud. Run free, little 4K video, run free. Make your video searchable and work with it from anywhere. ACES AI.
That's great. It's a good promo, Sam. We can certainly relate to a lot of what you were saying as well. Just give us an insight in to how you made the short promo, especially during obviously this time during COVID.
Yeah, well, we're actually quite fortunate that we got the shoot done right at the beginning of March, just before a lot of the restrictions were put in place here in the East Coast of the U.S. We had a great team, including several members of the company. One of them did a lot of the sort of on-set and post-production work, and we had a great team and cast. So it was fun, and I ended up actually personally tossing the cloud in at the end. So if you're wondering where that cloud came from, although we did a bit of CGI to improve the trajectory of the cloud. I didn't quite toss it on target, but anyway, it was a blast to produce, and we've gotten a great response to it.
Brilliant. So how are ACES AI helping teams that are switching to remote work these days, especially with COVID-19 going around?
Yeah, so the big thing with our product is it's all in a browser. So traditionally, in the media industry, a lot has been done with SneakerNet and fairly antiquated ways of moving files around, really. I don't think it's actually changed that much since the days of tape, when you had, one tape per show. A lot of times now it's one hard drive per show. And a lot of those sneaker net techniques of like, here's the stuff, or maybe a very simple shot list on a sheet of paper. Obviously, that doesn't work with remote work. So because our software is able to make low-res proxies of everything and present them in a browser and make everything searchable, it has huge capabilities for teams that have to suddenly work off-site. And that's been driving a lot of our business the last few months, as you'd imagine. We've published some success stories with some of our broadcast customers who have been able to quickly transition to remote work using Axle.
And of course, we're all working on different software systems. Can you give us some idea of the compatibility? Are we working with everything, or?
Yeah, so that's been another significant advancement in that we now have interfaces not only for the Adobe Premiere product line, but also for things like Adobe After Effects and other members of the Adobe Creative Cloud family like Photoshop. And then we've recently announced interfaces for Avid, for Media Composer, where we can handle the native Avid files as well as generate AAFs that can get pushed out and into your editing timeline, and even Final Cut Pro 10.
So Sam, we're seeing artificial intelligence used in pretty much a lot of areas in our lives these days, but how ready is it really for use in searching video? How effective is it?
Yeah, so we've been working with AI and machine learning techniques now for about 2.5 years, and a lot of them are maturing very rapidly. So the big kind of driver is, when is the right time to use a particular aspect of the technology? The big capability that is really making it successful for people right now is speech transcription. That is good enough in the AI world that you can get 90 or even 95% accuracy. Not quite good enough for closed captioning. So for finished material, some human intervention is still required. But for raw footage, when you have thousands of hours, the idea that you could just run a transcript of all of it and make all of it dramatically more searchable is a big win. There are other areas like facial recognition, object recognition, and on-screen text OCR type detection that are all maturing very quickly, and we're incorporating those into our product over time. But for us, it's less a matter of what is possible and more a matter of what is cost effective. For instance, with the transcription, we're able to deliver that at between $1 and $2 per hour. And traditionally, transcription has cost $1 or $2 per minute. So suddenly you can apply it to raw footage, you can apply it to historical material that may not be of the utmost value, but you still want that searchability. And that makes the whole concept of being able to search your material through a browser much more powerful, because you don't need interns to tag it all, you've got the transcripts.
So just expanding on that, Sam, if I can, how does it handle accents and dialogues and obviously language barriers with the speech recognition?
So you can set it to pick up different languages, and for the languages that are built-in, transcription doesn't cover. We partner with companies that have an even wider range of languages. It can also be adjusted for UK versus US accents. But it is also true that if someone has a very thick accent, or if there's a lot of background noise, the error rate is going to go up significantly. So you might only get 70 or 80% accuracy if it's in a noisy environment like a sports arena or a political convention or something like that. Still, if you're searching for a keyword like Obama or Trump or Biden or something like that, that will generally come out of the mix, and you can still find the segment you're looking for, even if some of the other words may have been gotten wrong. So it's a judgment call as to when it's useful, but I would say increasingly it's a no-brainer. And again, it makes the whole idea of tagging and searching your material much more compelling than in the past.
Cool. Well, I think it's something certainly we're looking forward to testing out with the amount of hours of footage we've been gathering doing our KitPlus daily and weekly shows. So it'll be good to put it to the test here as well. And yeah, in the meantime, Sam, thanks very much for coming on KitPlus TV. It's great to hear from you again. And our final workflow section is Move and Deliver. As the world continues to adjust to changing work environments, Marshall Electronics is meeting the increased demand for remote and streaming collaboration. by enhancing the 3G SDI HDMI to USB 3 converter product category. The new VAC23SHU3 USB 3 adapter enables any HDMI or 3G HDSDI video and audio source to be ingested into a computer and offers a plug-and-play setup.
MediaKind has launched Aquila On Demand, a video on demand solution for the processing and delivery of video files over cable, IPTV and OTT to any device, supporting the latest technologies such as HEVC, 8K and CMAF, and also addressing the challenge of delivering high-end premium quality user experiences to multiple streaming devices. We spoke to Richard from MediaKind recently, and you can see the full interview on kitplus.com/week 10.
And finally, Anna Valley have adopted QuickLink's Studio in a Box, the ST500, to provide professional, high-quality remote contributions for high-profile client events and productions. From enabling an auction to run across 3 different time zones to gathering speakers across Africa for a staff briefing, the QuickLink ST500, ST100 and ST55 have helped Anna Valley deliver professional live streams and broadcasts during lockdown.
So now we welcome in to the studio our next guest is Dan Gable from Shoutout. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, absolutely. So you've got this new product, Shoutout. I don't know how new it is. I think the best place to start though is to say what is Shoutout?
Sure. Well, Shoutout is basically a way of crowdsourcing your video content, firstly. It's also a way of automating your video production. And it's a very kind of simple template-based video editor. So, for example, you can build your intro and outro. You can send a link to someone. They record their message. And Shoutout will automatically put that message within your intro and outro and automatically add music and captions, and creating a video basically automatically.
So Dan, have you seen a wider range of uses for it than you'd had expected?
Yeah, absolutely. So we launched Shoutout really when the pandemic hit. So before that, it was being used for events. So for example, we used it at the Broadcast Award to create these videos immediately. But since then, for example, the IOD are using it to promote their virtual events. So they're sending links out to their speakers who can give a quick shout out to their virtual event. But it can be really used for anything, like, for episodic video content. Like TV has embraced episodic content, but on social, maybe not so much. But this enables you to really to create any kind of short message very, very quickly on social media.
And when you first set about designing Shoutout, Dan, did you have a particular industry section that you were aiming it at?
Yeah, I think that it was really designed predominantly for events, and we figured out pretty quickly that it has many more uses. So, for example, like I've been using it for more traditional video production in terms of sending links to people so they can upload their footage shot on a phone to create a kind of longer form video. So it's not just for short form. You can send a link to someone to create a video automatically, but you can also send a link to upload videos and stills. And when you upload a still image, it turns it into a short video clip automatically. So you can kind of make montage videos of stills very quickly. So even industries like estate agents could use it to very quickly make videos of properties for sale, for example. It really has multiple uses.
So Dan, I'm sure you've had lots of feedback from your customer base on the features that Shoutout offers. Have you got any updates on the horizon?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really forever evolving. We recently launched the still image feature that I talked about, and we've got some quite big features coming in the next few weeks around how Shoutout can be really used for bigger organizations in terms of making it very accessible to large organizations, basically.
Sure. Okay, Dan, thanks very much. We'll put a link on the screen now for people to find out more. And yeah, thanks very much for coming on KitPlus TV.
Thanks for having me.
Next up, it's time for Alistair Chapman's latest Tech Talk. Over to you, Alistair.
So ACES and colour managed workflows, you may or may not have heard of them, but they are going to become more and more important as we move into a world where we produce programs in different standards and formats. Right now, HDR is becoming more and more popular. If you go into a TV store now to try and buy a 4K TV, it's likely that it will have some sort of HDR capability, even if you never actually use it. And in the next few years, we're likely to see more and more HDR broadcasting on television. And for that reason, colour managed workflows are going to really help us out. Because a colour managed workflow such as ACES allows us to get from how we shot our content to how we need to deliver it very easily and very simply. Now, one of the key colour managed workflows around right now is ACES, the Academy Colour Encoding System. And it sounds very, very complicated and quite scary. In fact, I've watched some presentations done by some people on ACES that have left even me scratching my head at the end thinking, why, how? The thing to understand about a colour managed workflow such as ACES is they take care of converting what you shot your footage on to how you need it to be delivered. If you're shooting with a log camera, for example, it converts the log from log to how you want to see it, perhaps in standard dynamic range in Rec 709 on your ordinary TV or monitor. But it can also, at the flick of a switch or the press of a button in a menu, change that output from being standard dynamic range 709 to being HDR very quickly and very easily. So ACES as a workflow is available in most of the higher end color grading packages. It's certainly in DaVinci Resolve, which of course there is a free version of. And I'd encourage you to try it if you've never tried it. So what you do is you set up an ACES project in Resolve. So you go to the color management page and you choose ACES as your color management. And then you simply tell ACES what you shot it on. And in Resolve, there's a drop down. You choose the format that you shot it on. I'm using Sony's S-Log3 here as an example. And then you choose how you want to output it. So if you need standard dynamic range, you choose Rec 709. If you need HDR, you choose one of the many HDR options. And it really is that simple. You don't need to understand what's going on under the hood in ACES. But what I will tell you is that ACES converts your footage into an internal format that makes it very, very easy and logical to grade. Your grading controls become very intuitive. Exposure changes become much, much easier. Color correction and grading becomes easier. So it is very simple to use, and these are very, very powerful tools that you really do need to know about. So go and have a play, go and have an experiment with an ACES workflow. I think you'll find it quite simple, and it should make everything that bit easier for you. So with that, it's back to the studio.
Thanks, Alistair. And as we said at the start of the show, you can catch up on all of his previous tech insights on our weekly YouTube playlist. Next week, he is here to tell us how to choose our next camera. Should it be on the spec, the brand, or the price, or a mix of all three?
We hope you've enjoyed the show, and we'll see you virtually next Tuesday with more workflow guests, Dick's interview, industry news, and technical insight from Alistair.